Let me take you back to the late 1990s. Picture this. Baggy jeans, dial-up internet, and boy bands on every radio station. And me, I was working at Best Buy, blue polo, cockies and all. I wasn't exactly living the dream, but I was doing my part. Slinging VCR CD players, and explaining the difference between a 5.6K modem and DSL2 customers like it was rocket science. But there was one part of the job that made me want to quit every single month. The mandatory Saturday morning meeting. Every 4 weeks, the whole store had to show up at 7 a.m. sharp, a full 3 hours before we opened, to sit through this corporate dog and pony show. We're talking painfully slow training videos, motivational speeches from regional VP, an overly enthusiastic Employee of the Month award ceremonies for someone who sold 5 printers in 1 week. And look, I get it. Team bonding, goals, accountability. But when you're 19, broke, and already burned out from dealing with grumpy customers all week, waking up that early on your 1 day off feels like psychological warfare. The only diming part of that morning, the donut. They'd bring in several big pink boxes from this amazing local bakery. I'm talking maple bars that melted in your mouth, chocolate glazed perfection, old fashions that made you believe in God again. We'd all quietly count the minutes until the meeting ended, and we could rush the break room like caffeinated wolves. Which brings me to James. James was one of those coworkers who made you wonder how he still had a job. Always late, constantly on his phone, never knew where anything in the store was, and somehow he still had the nerve to act smug about it. You'd ask him to help you with something in the department, and he'd just shrug and walk away. One time I caught him napping in the car audio section. Another time a customer asked him a question about a laptop, and he pointed to the computer and said, "It's got like RAM or whatever." We all knew James was skating on thin ice, but that Saturday morning, that was the day the ice cracked. The meeting started at 7 o'clock. Everyone was there, sleepy-eyed and slumped in folding chairs, trying to pretend we cared about our manager's slideshow on quarterly goals. At around 8 a.m., the doors creaked open. In walks James an hour late. No explanation, no apology. He strolled in like he was doing us a favor just by showing up. The manager stopped mid. You could feel the tension thicken like bad coffee. "James," he said, "can I talk to you in the hallway?" That was it. We all knew. A few minutes later, James walks back in, face red but expression unreadable. He didn't say a word, just walked past the chairs, through the sales floor, and disappeared down the hallway toward the break room. We figured he was just grabbing his stuff and heading out. The meeting dragged on for another 20 minutes before we were finally dismissed. Groggy but grateful, we made a beeline for the break room. The sweet smell of icing and fried dough pulled us in like a tractor beam, and then we saw it. Every single donut had a hole, not the normal kind. These had fingerprints, deep, unmistakable finger-sized indentations, like someone had personally violated each and every pastry. The room fell into stunned silence. One girl gasped, another guy dropped his coffee. I stood there, mouth open, staring at the carnage. Then it hit me, James, that bastard. While we were stuck in the meeting listening to corporate buzzwords, he had gone full toddler tantrum in the break room. He didn't just grab a donut on his way out, he destroyed them all. Like a sugary, glazed, final middle finger to everyone in the store. It was such a bizarre act of vengeance that we didn't know whether to laugh or cry. And let me tell you something, I still think about that one maple bar, the one I had my eye on. The one I earned after rolling out of bed at 6 a.m. and sitting through an hour of management. Fake enthusiasm, gone. Violated. Finger-gunned, by James. And you know what? There was no justice. The manager didn't chase after him, nobody called the cops. The most we got was a sheepish "sorry guys" before someone threw the boxes in the trash. But here's the thing. James may have ruined our donut, but he cemented his legacy. To this day, if you run into anyone who worked at that store back and mention the donut incident, they'll instantly remember. It became workplace legend. Sometimes, revenge isn't loud or dramatic. Sometimes, it's just one guy sticking his fingers into baked goods on the way out of a job he never deserved in the first place. And while part of me still mourns the donuts that could have been, another part of me knows I witnessed something weirdly historic that day.